Welcome to Big JD Motivation. I really want to thank you for looking at my channel here. Today is going to be one of the most important information that I'm going to share with you all. I hope you agree that this is important information. Please subscribe and please invite others to this channel. We're trying to grow generational wealth, but to do that, I have to show you who's taking your money. If you don't understand, corporation is taking your money and you trust them. These are people you trust. But however, first thing they want to teach you, and they always tell you need a budget, and I do not believe in a budget. You do I believe in percentage and rules. And there's certain rules you have to follow. Again, if you follow a budget, in my opinion, it's just stressful and it makes you unhappy. You'll make poor decisions because you feel not satisfied in life. But I want you to check out this lady I had on a video before, because I told you I don't believe in budget. But here, what they want you to do. They want you to create a budget. Take a listen.
This morning on today's checklist, we are helping you build a better budget. So listen to this. According to a recent CNBC survey, 65% of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. That's up from 58% last year. Inflation, credit card debt, struggling to save, they're all major factors. So this morning, we're going to try to get your finances on track. We have CNBC senior personal finance correspondent Sharon Epperson. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So if we're talking 65% of people say they're living paycheck to paycheck, that means there are people watching this morning who are certainly, struggling a little bit.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about step one, what we need to understand.
Step one is you're struggling, but you need to know where your current situation is. Where's your financial situations? Track your spending over the last 3 months to kind of get a sense of where you stand. Calculate what your fixed expenses are, your housing costs, your transportation, your food, your variable expenses, which are dining out, anything that you want to have fun with. What are those
Seems
expenses?
like sit down and do the work.
You have to sit down and do the work and then allocate how much you're spending or how much you should be spending every month for these categories.
And that's all spending, to be clear.
All spending.
Every dollar that's going out.
Every dollar that's going out. Every
Okay.
dollar that's going out.
So now that we've done that, now that we've been able to sort of track what's coming in, what's going out, there are different kinds of budgets. There are different options that you can go with. What are those?
You can start very simply with just pen and paper, make a T-chart.
Analog.
Yeah, exactly. You just do income on one side and expenses on the other side. That's as simple as it can be. Have a spreadsheet that will do that for you. Budgeting apps are great. They're free ones. They're ones that you can pay a fee for. They can link to your bank and your credit card accounts, and then they will make the categories for you, let you know what you're spending. One that's really gaining a lot of traction on TikTok is an old school
I've
method.
seen this.
Cash stuffing.
Yeah.
So you have different envelopes for different expenses. Gas envelope, grocery envelope. You have a certain amount of cash in each one. When it's gone,
That's it.
that's it.
That's
So you have to-
actually, that's a pretty good idea.
But here's the thing.
That
You're
ain't
missing out on
budgeting.
being able to save that money
that's
in a
true.
high yield
Right.
savings account. You know those are great right now, 4 to 5% interest, and you don't get that federal insurance that you would get from a bank or a credit union. So that's kind of scary.
Freeze what she just said. She just breezed over something that was very important because she's moving on real quick. She said it quick. I'm going to reverse it and let you hear it one more time.
Yield savings account, you know those are great right now, 4 to 5% interest, and you don't get that federal insurance that you would get from a bank or a credit union. So that's kind of scary.
I'm going to do it one more time. Just so you
That's
hear.
that's a pretty good idea.
But here's the thing. You're missing out on being able to save that money
that's
in a
true.
high yield
Right.
savings account. You know those are great right now, 4 to 5% interest, and you don't get that federal insurance that you would get from a bank or a credit union. So that's kind of scary. What I love is the
Now, she said, that's kind of scary. You don't have insurance. You do not have any protection in a savings account. Your money in the bank is not protected. She just said it. And she said it quick. And they said it's scary. But she really ain't going into that. She's saying that if you put your money into like a CD or something other than a savings account, your money is not safe in the bank. Any bank. Put your money in my bank. Think about it. And trust me with it. But the fact you trust a bank, you don't know who run it half the time, because they do change presidents and vice president. People get voted in and out. You're trusting a teller you don't know that's going to handle your money. There's so many people take your money, but you feel, the bank going to cover me. I'm going to have a lot of stories I'm going to share with you all, because I don't want you to just believe me saying that your money is not safe in the bank. I don't know if you just heard what she said. I rewinded twice to say what she just said. And I'm going to play some more. I'm going to let her play some more.
Reverse budget. Start with your savings. Put the money into savings, then focus on the money that needs to go to your needs, and then your wants. Make sure that you earmark that first. And many people who are automatically saving into a retirement account through their paycheck are already doing that. So that's important.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. A lot of people also need some guidelines. What are some round numbers? Give me what percentage should I put where?
Yeah.
So the 50-30-20 rule is one that people like. 50% of your money goes to your needs, or your housing, your transportation, food costs. 30% goes to your wants, whatever you want, and 20% goes to savings. Now, the problem with that, when you live in a high expensive area like New York or many other places, that 50%, it's going to go up to 60%.
Sure.
So don't be mad at yourself if that happens. And if you don't have an emergency fund, if you haven't really done enough with retirement savings, you're going to have to bump up that savings, maybe even to 30%. So maybe your wants and your discretionary spending is only 10%, but just give yourself some grace.
So you're talking about that, Sharon. How do you make sure this works? I mean, can you like test drive this thing?
You do want to test drive it. You want to identify what your needs are and what your wants are, but also what you're willing to sacrifice, because that's going to be key to making the budget that really works for you. So you're prioritizing these spending categories. You have the list already that you might have made on a T-chart, but then what are the priorities that you really need to have? Of course, housing, transportation, food are going to be top. Where does dining out fall? Where does entertainment fall? And what can you reduce, replace, or remove? So I found out that I was paying for 2 Easy Passes that I didn't need, so I reduced that.
Not Sharon Epperson.
I found out that I had streaming services for multiple family members.
A lot of
We all
people
have.
have.
Okay, I'm going to let her tell you more about that stuff. I'll put the link in if you want to watch the whole video. She kept using my cuss word, and I'm not going to say it on his channel again, the S word. So she had the 50-30, was it 50-30-20 rule, I think? And in my previous video, I told you all about the 70-30 rule, and I don't have a S in my 30-70 rule. That S should be an I. Because I just heard her say, and that S account at the bank is not safe. It's not even federal insured like you think. It's the deposits that's federal insured. But you need to really check with your bank, because there's no insurance on that money if you let someone go in there and take it out. They're going to say you're in on it. So I got a case here with a lady in Texas. Well, actually, she was, I believe in Florida, but it was a person in Texas that took her money over the phone, a scam, and they said she was in on it, and she got phone records, police involved, the whole 9 yards. The bank said, I believe you in on it, and it was $49,000. And definitely, I'm going to show y'all those cases. If you really think your bank have you covered in a S account, and so if you're conditioned to do what she just said with that 50 rule and putting your money in the S account somewhere that's not safe, and believe me, putting it on your mattress is not safe neither. The safest thing is not even have the money. Put it in an asset. But I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. So I want to show you another video, a YouTuber. I don't want you to believe me, but I want you to do your investigation. I want you to find out, is your money safe in a bank? And check out this other YouTuber, what he says.
Yep, your bank is probably ripping you off. How do I know this? Because Americans are forking over $190 billion in hidden fees and surprise charges every single year. But it actually doesn't have to be this way. In this video, I'm going to expose the 2 worst banks to avoid. I'm going to name them by name. I'm going to break down their shady practices. And then I'm going to show you 3 better options to protect your hard-earned money. Let's jump right in with part 1, the worst banks. Now listen, if a 14-year-long banking scandal doesn't scare you away from this first bank, what the hell is wrong with you? It was so bad, this piece of shit bank had to settle for $3 billion just to resolve the criminal and civil charges. Any guess who this was? I'll give you a clue. They are still one of the biggest functioning banks in this country. And this scandal wasn't just an isolated incident. It's one of many examples demonstrating this bank has a total lack of respect for its customers. They have a long list of offenses, including fraudulent practices, poor management, and a corporate culture that really does not care about ethical banking. I'm talking, of course, about Wells Fargo. And on our bank exploitation index, they score a solid 9 out of 10. Each time they're caught like a guilty little kid stealing something out of the cookie jar, what do? They promise, oh, I'll do better, Mr. and Mrs. Government. But the problems persist. And I don't know why some of you freaks continue putting your money in Wells Fargo. Oh, I know. It's where my mom and dad opened up my account when I was 11. They gave me a little keychain. Do I care? A keychain? That's why you keep your money at this bank that targets minorities, that opens up unnecessary accounts, and that has been fined literally billions with a B by the government? Man, if I knew that millions of people were staying at this bank just because they want a keychain, I would have sent you a keychain myself. I have to tell you, this gets me mad because I hate when big banks take advantage of their customers, especially minorities. And if you look at the repeated fines and penalties that Wells Fargo has received over the years, you'd probably agree, this is inexcusable. Get out. Before I expose the second worst bank in America, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. As you can see, I want to grow this channel because I give it to you straight. I tell you what the best accounts are. I tell you what the worst accounts are. I tell you exactly where I put my own money. All right, now let's get to the second bank that I do not like. And the funny thing is, I'm known as an influencer for this bank. Not just any influencer, though. I had a friend who used to work there. They told me that I'm on an internal document. I said, wow, Ramit Sethi on an internal document, this multi-billion-dollar, what kind of document is this? She said, it's an influencer list, but a negative influencer list. And I thought to myself, this is the proudest day of my life. Why? Why am I on that list? Because I constantly expose their shady practices, including in my New York Times best-selling book. So I guess you could say I'm thankful to be influencing you to know what's really going on with this bank. Just like Wells Fargo, this bank has also faced significant legal challenges. In 2014, they were fined with, at the time, the largest settlement ever for a single American company. That's over $16 billion. Why? Because of their role in the financial crisis. They packaged and sold risky mortgage-backed securities, misleading investors and fueling the housing bubble that ultimately burst. You all know what happened there. This reckless behavior not only devastated the global economy, but also ruined a lot of lives. A lot of people lost their homes, savings, and jobs. But that's not the only reason I would advise you to avoid this bank. They also treat their customers horribly. They've been slammed for terrible customer service more times than I can count. I get thousands of emails every single week from people who tell me about their experiences, and this company is one of the worst. They've also been criticized for how they treat their employees. Many reports mention a toxic work environment, unrealistic sales targets, and pressure to engage in unethical behavior to meet those targets. That kind of environment is horrible for employees, also leads to bad customer service. In their branches, I don't know why any of you would go into a branch, but okay, maybe you have your reasons, you like the air conditioning, whatever. Many customers complain about long wait times, unhelpful staff, and a general lack of concern. Well, you're gonna see why. These banks do not grow with good customer service, they grow with getting you to open accounts. It's as simple as that. In case you haven't guessed, this bank is Bank of America.
Now, he talked about two of the banks. And I'm telling you now, all the banks, and he named some good banks there at the end of that video. I'm going to put the link in this video so you can watch the entire video. Bank of America, the second one, even when that mortgage crisis, they tried to take me to court and they had some shady practice going on. They lost my mortgage paperwork and they need me to re-sign everything. And they chose to take it to court instead of asking me first. And I had to go through that process with them. When I tell you I would never deal with Bank of America because of that. But I didn't have good experience with Bank of America during the mortgage crisis. They really had some bad stuff going on at that time. They actually sold my mortgage and bought it back and lost the paperwork in the process. But the whole process of the person that bought my mortgage didn't like the paperwork and so they gave it back to them. But again, I want to tell you all, if you all think having your money in a bank is safe, really, really take a look at what's going on. It's Google your bank, find out what's going on. Now, I deal with a credit union. You know, I like my credit unions, and I've been with credit unions and had great success with my credit unions. However, I don't keep a lot of money there. I know it's not safe. I know it's not safe to have money in a bank. So, and insurance companies don't insure money. They insure your houses, your cars, you know, different assets, your business, and things of that nature. So, put your money in assets that's insurable, so it can be insured. And here, definitely, I preach on several of my videos. Get a brokerage account and start owning corporations, right? And 100-year dividends own corporations, and put your kids on there as the beneficiary to set up that whole account. Your money should be in shares of major corporations and assets that can be insurable. That's where your money should not be in a bank. Again, it ain't a such thing as that S account at the bank. They make money by you putting your money there. And it's interesting watching that video on Today's Show, and almost wondering why that video came about, you know, because I think they taken advantage of, or the bank is trying to get more money. I'm curious why this video is saying S your money, a percentage of it. And knowing that the inflation is high, things are high, like she said, things of that nature, right? And is it going to make it better for you? Is it going to make you financially wealthy by doing that 50 rule? And she didn't give any really real advice other than look at your money that you're spending and put more money in the bank. But that will not get you from paycheck to paycheck. And they talked about the first thing they said is give you the numbers on paycheck to paycheck, right? Here's what you want to do. Again, I'm not really caring about a budget, right? You live by percentage. You know how much you have to spend for the month for groceries and bills and things of that nature. And if you notice, when you work for a corporation, they push that 401k. That 401k come out your check first, and then you live off the rest, right? That's the same thing you have to do for yourself. The money that you're going to invest come out first. You heard him say, pay yourself first, right? But don't pay yourself by putting it in a S account. You immediately take that money and invest it. Put it in the assets that's going to generate money. Once you start that snowball, the money that you keep putting away every pay period in your investment account is going to pay you every quarter, and eventually is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So at one point in 10 years, and I tell you, 10 years go by so fast, you blink, you won't miss it. Your money bringing in you an extra $150,000 every quarter. What budget you need? You still got your paycheck. You still make $60,000 to $100,000 a year on your job, but you got an extra $150,000 that your money is making for you. And you're going, if I want a car, I go pay cash for it. Because your money going to constantly keep making you $150,000. You're going to be at a point where you can't spend that money quick enough because you have plenty of it. And again, you won't even worry about a budget at that point because you would be right where you want to be, wealthy, where you're not caring about how much money you make and what your budget is. So that is the key to it, is build that account, your investment account, so you eventually won't have to worry about a budget. But again, we're going to talk about that more in this video. I really appreciate y'all coming. Again, do your research on that. And please be careful. These banks are not trustworthy. Thank you for coming. Subscribe. Tell someone to come. Appreciate y'all coming. Bye-bye.